Hey guys, so sorry about the long periods between videos. I've been super busy with this whole breeding. As you can tell, I've always got eggs ready to hatch, and it just gets kind of overwhelming, you know, running the whole 6 plus Rotifers plus grow outs. Here's one of the grow outs, as you can see. We've got your black ice, your photons, your Picassos, your tigger your rots. So all of this becomes, you know, a little overwhelming and takes up most of my time, which is why I haven't made a video in a while. But I have been getting a lot of requests about what I do to do Rotifers without phytoplankton, because a lot of my old videos were using phyto and I no longer use phyto. I just use the RG complete pretty much, and that's pretty much it, and just water. And this, I believe it's called the CSS, which is this little mechanism. You can buy these from Reeds. Basically what it does is it's like a floss inside, and what happens is, if I can kind of demonstrate, is so this sits in the bucket like so, pretty much with the other clip too, and you run this air line and you put it in the center. And basically what it creates is more movement and helps keep the water even cleaner. I'm not gonna really set it up now, but just a kind of quick demonstration without any water. So imagine this pipe, if I can get it in. So the pipe's all the way down, kind of like here towards the bottom. You can see it. This is clipped on with both clips like that, and then the other green one goes here. And what it's doing is it's creating a current coming up and it's seeping out on the sides. So you're getting this kind of movement, like up, over, and just a circle on both ends. And it does keep the water cleaner, but I do see myself dosing more RG complete because of it. But I do get rid of all that waste that sits at the bottom. But anyways, you're pretty much going to do the same thing you do if you had a regular Rotifer culture. So here's my culture. It's about a gallon of just pure Rotifers. And what I'm going to do is I mix my salt at 0.20, which is the same salt as all my fry tanks. 0.20 because I don't want the Rotifers to get shocked when moving into these tanks with all the fry. These are all sealed up, and you know, you basically don't want to shock and kill all the Rotifers, so slow acclimation is the best. But essentially what I do is pretend this is your fresh culture or first time culture, whatever. You start with your base, which would be whether you buy the million bag from Reeds, or you buy offline a Rotifer culture 16, 20 ounce, whatever the case may be. So essentially what I do to build up the Rotifers is I've got my culture here. I've measured the salt, it's 0.20. I made pure salt water at the same salinity, and what I want to do is just slowly drip it into here. So here I've got my little airline tube that I've bent already, and here I've got this. So essentially what I'm going to do is just put this here. This reaches all the way to the bottom. Gonna start the siphon. And as you can see, it's gonna start coming out. And then I'm gonna slow it down. So probably a little bit slower than that. You might want to go for a first time. Because mine's match, it's okay. But when I originally got them, they were kind of high on salt, like almost a 0.3. So I like to make sure. Here's a drip, and what I'm gonna essentially just let happen is, if you're starting a culture, definitely what you want to do is maybe only start with a gallon. That way you don't have to waste that much RG complete. Essentially, just, you know, if you started with a 16-ounce bottle, put a gallon in, so a gallon every day until it starts to build up into that 4 or 5 gallon mark or whatever you're looking for. But if you're gonna use the CSS little tube thingy, you do kind of need it a little bit above 4 gallons. And I'll show you pretty much what it does. It does cost like $30 on reeds, but honestly, if I'm gonna be really blunt with you, you could probably make it for a lot less. Like, here we'll go into details of what it is essentially. So here is a kind of in-depth of the whole CSS kit, if you do want to make it yourself, unless you just want to buy it. But pretty much what it looks like is a T PVC 1-inch with a 1-inch pipe and some sort of like end cap type thing they made here, and it's got a hole drilled right there, and it lines up with this hole for the rigged airline tubing. So this is pretty easy to make. It shouldn't be more than like $2. And then the other component is this, which just looks like a plastic canvas that you could probably get at Michael's or AC Moore or Hobby Lobby. It's just a black, basically, canvas that they you know, cut and made into a circle. And then here is a looks like a little just clamp, plastic clamp. Obviously don't use metal because metal starts to rust. It's a little plastic clamp. I'm assuming they probably glued right here to make the joint, or to make it like not, you know, unravel. Or it kind of feels like they did the whole thing actually. So I guess get a little plastic canvas and then glue it. And then this is the floss, what they call it. Just looks like a type of felt pretty much. It used to be white when I first got it, but it's not white anymore obviously. And then this is probably the only thing I don't know what it's called, but if I had to take a guess, if you ever seen in cars on the radiator, they have what's called a heat wrap, which is like this around the tube. It's probably the closest thing I can explain that's near it, or near to what this kind of looks like or feels like. So pretty much the way it goes is, again, this costs $30 on reeds. You can make it, and it comes with everything. And then this is the only things I don't know if you can buy. If not, you might have to rig something. But basically what these do are they're bucket clamps. So they go on the inside of each little PVC, and it hangs inside the bucket. So I'll kind of piece everything together just to show you. So here's the pipes. These are all cemented in because they don't come out anymore. And then this plastic canvas, I like to clean this every week or so. Eventually I'll just get a new one, but you can see it's kind of getting all stretched out and stuff. So this kind of wraps around the bottom of this, like so. And then this just kind of goes over it. So let me do that and put it together. So as you can see, this like little plastic stuff just kind of holds this floss, we'll call it, together. And then I like to put it back up and kind of fix this part. Like so. Push it down. So that's the 3 pieces put together, and then the clamp, what it essentially does is just kind of slides on this piece, and then it's all together. So again, this part, my best guess would be this is a coupling that it's cemented in, and then they just probably picked a PVC end pipe that fit inside the coupling, not over it, and then just drilled the hole straight through. That would be my best guess. Again, these pieces probably 33 cents, 33 cents, 33 cents. It's like $1. If you get a cut PVC, it's probably maybe like $2. So that's 3. Plastic canvas is about $1, $2 for a big sheet. Felt or floss. You know, you could probably improvise with the padding you can get with wet dries and stuff like that. And then this clamp can't be more than $1 or $2. I would probably look in the Home Depot section. And then just this, you know, guard, we'll call it. I just don't know where you would find that. But again, my best guess to kind of explain it would be like a heat wrap for a radiator tube or something like that. If not, just maybe like what tangerines and oranges come in, that netting stuff, and maybe making something out of that. Again, this is if you just want to DIY it, you know, because to buy this and get it shipped and everything, it's about $40 when you can make it yourself for probably less than 10. But I just don't know where you would find this. Anyways, we'll go back to the dripping, and I'll show you the RG Complete. So the next critical opponent is RG Complete. Here on Reed's, you can see it's called RG Complete. Is a super concentrate microalgae based premium quality feed and enrichment for feeding rotifers and other filter feeding inverts. So this is what I use for the rotifers instead of phytoplankton. A 1 6-ounce bottle, as you can see, costs $12, 16 is $20, and 32 is $35. The only issue is you do have to 2-day ship it. So 2-day shipping does cost I think around $30. So you're paying almost like $70 for one bottle. But I would recommend, you know, adding multiple ones, because you do go through this stuff a lot, especially if you're trying to run a hatchery like me. If you can fit, I think like 6 or 8 in one container, and it's better to buy multiple than just one and pay for shipping one at a time. But what I essentially do is I freeze all of it in cubes, and I got this simple Gatorade bottle. You know, I labeled it RG. It's kind of faded out. Can't really see it anymore. But essentially, this is just the RG. As you can see, it's like super dark green. A few milliliters is pretty much the same as like a gallon or 2 of phytoplankton. This helps me a lot because I don't have to keep growing phyto, and you run into issues where it dies off and everything. So I do like this a lot more, just because it's a few milliliters a day, doesn't bother, just keep it in the fridge, keep small amounts. When you need more, just unfreeze a cube. Usually the cubes can fit inside this little hole, so I just put a cube and I let it melt overnight. So it's not such a big deal with this, and it's easier for me to just kind of, with a big hole, I can get the measuring syringes in here to basically get it out. So as we can see here, we're slowly starting to drip still since the beginning of the video. Probably only about a gallon or so has dripped into here. We're still doing it very lightly. Hopefully in the video quality you can see the amount of rotifers we got. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a lot of rotifers in there. Nice green. So it's the same concept as the Phyto. You don't want your culture to turn to yellowish clear because they're not getting any food. So I get this little trusty syringe. So here's the website says to measure this you need to put, you know, this calculator, and per million you're supposed to put X amount. It's kind of hard to do that if you're not really don't have like a way of measuring it. They say to measure you have to put your culture in a syringe and put vinegar to freeze them somehow, and all that stuff, and count and how many milliliters and times that by the number of, it's a whole mathematical thing. I don't really know, I've never done it. So essentially when it's pretty starting off, you don't need to use that much. So here I got about 3 milliliters. So what I do is same thing, kind of stir it, grab inside the syringe some of the water already, stir, 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 start slowly dosing, get the water a nice green color. You know, I don't want none of the food sitting at the bottom. And once you've got it a nice color, just keep stirring. So you've got that nice color. We're gonna let up while we're still acclimating. We're gonna aerate. So as you can see here, we're slowly gonna drip a gallon. So basically what we're starting off, I had my culture, I'm dripping about a gallon because it's only day one. I'm adding about 2 to 3 milliliters of RG Complete, depending on how like your rotifers are sent, how much food is kind of still in there, how green the water is. It kind of varies on how much you add. And then for the next 3 days, what I'm gonna do is just slowly let it build up until that, you know, 4.5 gallon mark. And then I'll add the CSS little PVC pipe thingy and show you what happens at work when it's working, essentially. So, you know, I'll just do a quick day. Again, this is day 1. Day 2, I'll add another gallon. Day 3, I'll add another gallon. That'll bring me around 4 gallon mark, and then I'll add the CSS thingy and then just top it off. That way you can see kind of how it is and what it looks like, and that's pretty much it. So that's how you feed, that's how you culture rotifers without phytoplankton. Your 2 basically main ingredients, which would be RG Complete, 2, 3, depending how much you do, you can use anywhere from 2 to 10 milliliters a day. So if you get obviously the biggest bottle is 32 ounces at 10 milliliters a day, it's probably around a month or 2 worth of RG. So if you're only a single breeder, just got 1 pair, you know, maybe just need 1 bottle for now, if I breed 6 different clowns, as you can see. So I go through 2-3 bottles every 6 months or so. So that's just something to think about. Again, it's a lot more expensive, but phytoplankton is not something you can really rely on if you're trying to do it for a hatchery or something, just because it's unpredictable. It can die out. It can basically, if you need food for these and you got no phytoplankton because it died, then you're kind of, you know, screwed out of a culture, and then the culture dies because it starves out. So it's something to really consider if you're really going to be into being a hatchery, growing clowns, doing this as more as a business. RG is definitely the way to go rather than growing phyto, unless you can grow phyto like, you know, 10 gallons a day of it somehow, which some people still do. I have seen hatcheries where they've got, you know, 100-gallon towers of phytoplankton growing and all that stuff. That's something, you know, else to invest in, but again, at the end of the day, it still can die. So I just like the RG complete. All right, so until we kind of fast forward until the next day, this is pretty much it for day 1. Day 2, 3 will just be more water added, and then we'll come back on day 4 and see what it looks like. All right, thanks. So now it's the last day. Pretty much we've put 1 gallon a day into the Rotifer bucket. I've kept it aerated over the last few days, made sure that it's got plenty of green to it, and now I'm ready to add this. So simply I just drop it in there. It attaches, you'll hear it click, and the other click. Try to straighten out a little bit, and you'll see that now it's above, it's close to that white mark. So basically what I'm going to do here is attach the hose, get it in all the way, and that's it. So now there's different ways of handling this as far as maintenance. This, if you decided to do it with this is gonna clean out a lot faster the green in the water, but it'll keep the bottom like super clean, versus if you just have a regular aerator, you're gonna notice you're gonna get a lot of clumps on the bottom, but the green will stay a little bit longer because it's not being, like, you know, passed through the little floss. So I would honestly recommend this only because when you have all those rotifers and then you get all that gunk at the bottom, and it's really hard to kind of separate the gunk from the rotifers, this does help because it keeps that to a minimum and you get more rotifers basically, but you do go through more RG. So if you don't want to do 4 gallons, 5 gallons of rotifers, you just want to do like a gallon, then you can just do like a little, 1 gallon with a little aerator pump, and that's about it. But anyways, so I'm gonna leave this here till tomorrow, and then from here, what I'm gonna really do is every other day or so, or when I decide that it's getting the RG Complete is getting used up too fast. When it's getting used up way too fast, like you just put it and then like half the day later it's already clear, then that tells you it's kind of time to split the culture, just because that means you've got tons of rotifers and they're just eating it like crazy. So right now it's keeping the green consistency because I just started the culture fresh for this video. So you saw it like 1 gallon, 1 gallon, 1 gallon until I got to this mark, and now it's like gonna be normal. So what I normally do, again, after about a day and a half, when I notice that this gets clear too fast, I'll take out half the bucket. I'll siphon half of the rotifers into the tanks, and then I'll make a new bucket of salt water, the same salt level, and then drip it slowly. Also too, I like to add prime to the bucket to make sure that it's helping keep the water without ammonia or high levels. So put a few drops of prime, fill it up. If you take out 2 gallons, put 2 gallons back, slowly drip it into there. That way you're not shocking anything, because remember, these are really microscopic organisms, so you don't want to shock them. They're not like fish that can take a little bit extra. So that's pretty much it for if you want to grow rotifers without phytoplankton and just use RG Complete. I'll put the links for everything that I use in the bottom, and pretty much it'll just be the CSS or CS, whatever they call it, which is this. They also sell a bucket too, but you can just buy a bucket anywhere. This one's from Home Depot. The rotifer culture, I'll link you to the reeds, which one they sell, but you can get any good rotifer culture anywhere as long as you trust them. And then the link for the RG Complete, and pretty much everything there. All right, sorry for the delay in videos, guys. I've been busy with growing out everything here, so I do thank you for your patience, and I'll try to make more videos. Or if you suggest any videos that I haven't really covered that you're curious in, just let me know in the comments below. Just let me know if there's something you want me to cover. Later.